Ridgeway. Just got through coming through here. And I'm sure he'll come back through here again. I just want my viewers to see and to hear the damn insanity that drove my brother off into a state of death, an early death. What kind of environment? Sick, evil environment that I'm in which I think everybody knows the idioticacy that I'm having to deal with here, but nobody's willing to stand up and do anything about it. I think there was a song one time, something about everybody knew it, but didn't nobody do nothing about it. Had something to do, I think the Beatles or something, about some girl that everybody knew it, but wouldn't nobody say or do nothing about it. And you wonder how come we got chaos from shore to shore, from border to border. I know now why my father turned his back on God and chose the devil's side. Because he knew what kind of neighborhood that he was in, and he knew that if he went to the altar and got his life right, like he should have had, the rest of these heathens and morons would have taken full advantage of my father to the point that he would have basically been the neighborhood bitch to the Morgans and the Wainscots and the Jacobses and the Mackrights. So instead of my father, my biological father, showing his good side, he done just exactly what the Bible says. That if you can't be hot, be cold. But whatever you do, don't be lukewarm. And my father wasn't lukewarm. My father wasn't a bit lukewarm whenever it comes to telling these morons what he thought about them and how he felt about them. And that included the Neils, that included the Willises, that included the Bakers, that included the Whites, that included the Cobles, that included the Hills, that included the Turners, that included all the rest of them that personally knew my father, especially those over in Kenton, Tennessee, beginning with the Sanders. It would have basically been suicidal if my father would have been loyal to God. He would have had people like the Ridgeways and the Sheffields dominate his life and telling him how to live and what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do. Was it tough? Was it hard? Yes. But what even made it harder is the fact that all of these families that I just got through mentioning knowed about the atrocities that was being committed upon to the family. The Freemans, the Simmonses, the Staggses, the Robinsons, the Davises, all of them knew. Because my father was too flamboyant. He was too open with what he done and how he done it. But not one of them crossed him. And not one of them tried to put him in his place. Including the bad, supposedly, Sidonia Shaker Harrisons. That's got arms down to about past his knees. That was supposed to have been one of the biggest, baddest boxers around at one time. My father, God rest his soul, he was a sick man, but he was a straight shooter. He let people know how he felt and the reason for him feeling it. But he also had an aggressive problem towards not being able to control his anger management issues. Was it right that James Robert Jackson abused his family, including his wife? No, it wasn't right. But the next question is, was it right for the community to have let the little children down? Not only did they let them down then, but they're still letting them down today. Because I guarantee you, some of these people knows, especially in this area, that abusive situations is happening right now with children. Either they're being exposed to a drug-induced family, either they're being exposed to nudity and sexuality at a young age that they shouldn't be, either they're being exposed to drugs, possibly alcohol, or being exposed to neglect. Either or is harmful to the child. Either or is harmful to our future. Because without our children, we have no future. I'm really surprised that Ridgeway ain't done come by here again, laying down on the horn. He's got a sickness, just like a rapist or an addict, that can't break that habit. And David and I brought this before the courts up in Weakley County. And they sniggered and they laughed at us. And they thought it was funny. Well, now 4 years into this, Mr. Tommy Moore and the rest of the law enforcement judicial system around here that has now picked up word on all this, including the sheriff's deputies as well as various departments. How funny is it now, after 4 years, and it's still going on? It wouldn't be a bit different if this man was a rapist and he couldn't keep his ding-a-ling in his pants and he was out here raping little girls. He's out of control. He's sick. The family needs help. They took my brother down and almost killed him with his own gun. They're manipulators. They're liars. But whenever you have a law enforcement agency that are the same thing, birds of a feather does flock together. Right? Isn't that what they claim? Birds of a feather does flock together. Walk, 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 walk. I have never in my life met such a bunch of chicken-ass cowards as I have right here in Northwest Tennessee. And it's the very same characteristics that David Crockett detected because they wouldn't go and fight in the 1832 war or something like that. Bunch of cowards. Bunch of yellow bellies. A bunch of spineless people. That, oh yeah, we're patriots. We're patriots. We salute the flag. 95% of them, 98, 99% of them don't fly a flag around here. And we're talking about churches. They don't do that openly. Are they ashamed? Do they got something to shame with a red, white, and blue flag? You would think, out of all the places to be flying a flag, that there'd be a flagpole sitting up there in Sidonia somewhere. Somewhere where you'd see it from the main highway. I don't even think the fire department's got one. I may be wrong. If I am, I apologize. But these people around here are the world's worst about, oh, do as I say, but not as I do. Hypocrites. It was the very same characteristics that followed the death of a great state senator by the name of Davy Crockett. That he went down to the border to try to rescue us and fight for our democracy that costed him his life. And now hell is opened up from the south. Hell is opened up with all these drugs, all this other stuff that the rich man has brought in. So Davy Crockett's words was correct. Y'all can go to hell because I'm going to Texas. And Davy Crockett went to Texas. And he paid the ultimate sacrifice of trying to fight for our liberty and our freedom and our democracy. Old Donald must have got hung up down the road there, over there at Steve Lester's house. They're probably plotting some other scheme, how they're going to bring in some sort of a whore of some sort. Boy, I tell you, it don't get no better than this. Right here in the Beach Ridge, number 7. Hop in Wildlife Refuge. Hop on in and stagger out. I think that was Dan Simmons' memento. Hop on in and stagger out. These people around here are just about as backwards and as far behind even the Mennonites, the Amish people that live up here, up the road here. They got better characteristics than these people right here. At least they do stick together. I ain't never heard none of them beating their children half to death while the rest of the crowd stands around and cheers them on like a bunch of cheerleaders. Boy, I tell you what, one day whenever I do wind up to heaven, am I ever going to tell a story? And it's going to be a doozy. Yes, sir. It's going to begin with the Willises. Then it's going to go from the Willises to the nose. And it's going to go from the nose to the needles. The crosses. And the Sandersons. It's going to be one heck of a powerful testimony once I get up into glory. And I'm going to look at my Heavenly Father and I'm going to say, you see here, this is what they done that they know better not to do. And this is what they didn't do that they know that they should have done. Now what are we going to do about it, God? God's going to look at my testimony and he's going to say, you know what? Every word is true. Every word. I'm going to leave it to my son, Jesus, towards what I'm to do and how I'm to do it. Because you see, regardless whether it comes in the form of too much rain or not enough rain, too much wind or not enough wind, too much sun or not enough sun, the one that sits on the throne is the one that's in control of all these elements. And the more that people piss him off, the more people keep biting the hand that feeds him, the more that people keep ignoring him and neglecting him, the deeper and the darker and the more intenser that the wrath of God will fall upon to an evil demonic society. I'm really surprised that Donald Ridgway hadn't come by. Like I said, he must have got hung up down there planning a new plot. With, I'm sure, Steve Lester and Donna Lester, the ones that planted this plot towards their daughter of costing me $650. And I think about 37 days in jail. They got a kick out of that. That tickled them to death. Just like whenever they beat my brother Danny out of $300 because they needed some extra money. Because one of the girls was graduating and they needed a dress for a prom. Just like they beat old Danny out, I ain't no telling how much stuff. Again and again and again. Just like they beat me out of a bunch of playground material that didn't a bit more belong to Donald Ridgway or to the Steve Lester family, no more than a man on the moon. But according to the cops, according to the local sheriff's department, because somehow or another it wound up over there, because old Juby felt sorry for one of Donald Ridgway's renters that had a couple more kids. This was a different girl, went by the name of Rose. Because something went wrong in their lives towards her husband being locked up for violation of probation because of drugs, she had to immediately execute and get out of that trailer. Well, in the meantime, I'm stuck in between a hard place and a rock towards being damned if I so much as step one foot on that property over there. Even though the very cop that arrested me without a warrant drugged me from not only my own yard, but drugged me over there on that property, because that's where the cop car was whenever they was plotting how that they was going to take down Juby. And me telling them the whole time, I'm not supposed to be on that property. I'm not supposed to be on that property. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Come on, you're coming with me. Drugged me over there and put me in that police car against my will. These are the people that will burn in an eternal hell. From the cops, to the probation officers, to the sheriffs, to the deputies that was involved in all this hullabaloo out here, to the Ridgeways, to the Lester family, to the Sheffield family, and I could go on and on and on with family after family after family after family, either immediately within a 2-mile radius or within a 25-mile radius of the people that has been so downright dirty and thought that they was going to get away with it. They was that ignorant. They was that naive. They was that foolish. All the guy that was living over there whenever I moved here had to do, whenever 5 or 6 of his big dogs come over here and vandalize my property, was said, Juby, I'm going to tie my dogs up, or I'm going to put them in a pen. If you would, give me a little time. And the damage that they've done, I'll either try to repair your cooker, or if I can't repair it because it's made out of pot metal, I'll replace your cooker. But no, they was so angered. They was so frustrated because they had already been banded or barred from the old David Willis house because they was manipulating the banking industry. And they had basically gotten their walking papers. Well, they had to take their aggression and their anxiety out on somebody. And guess who the next person was in line? Oh, Juby. I come back here. There's an 18-wheeler trailer that don't belong to us, belongs to, I guess, Josh Sheffield, or Josh Sheffield and the Ridgeway family is the ones that was renting it or owned it. There was 2 or 3 other items that they either had of ours or was over here. Had to immediately call out what that they was doing to David. It took me probably about a week and a half to figure out what they was actually doing to David. Towards, not only did they pull a gun on him, not only did they get away by pulling a gun on him, not only did they get away by attempting murder on my brother, but now they're trying to weasel my brother back into their lives. That way they can park trailers out here, and David was so gullible. Oh yeah, I'll feed your horses. I'll feed your sheep. I'll feed your jackasses. I'll feed your livestock. And by the way, Mr. Sheffield, every time you get so drunk that you can't make it and you wind up in a ditch, I'll come and pull you out for free. We got a buddy-buddy system here. I asked David, after he finally come to his senses about within the 3rd or 4th week of all this hullabaloo out here, I said, David, what was you thinking? What are you doing? He goes, well, that's the only way that I'm going to be able to get back at them towards breaking in either to their barn or their home and stealing a bunch of merchandise from them, is to play the same game that they're playing on me. So in reality, they really wasn't playing David, because David was smart enough to identify that they was lying to him about gonna bring back the gun. They was lying to him about all this other stuff. But what I didn't understand is how come David was allowing for them to get in so deep towards bringing 18-wheeler trailers and parking it on our property, and them using a tandem axle trailer that belonged to my biological father. That's the part that I didn't understand. And I told David, I said, David, 2 wrongs don't make a right. This ain't going to be right in what you're thinking about towards going to take a stab at the Ridgeway or the Sheffield family in an illegitimate way just because they was illegitimate. And finally, David come around after a few months. It took a few months. He finally come around. And before he actually died, I truly believe that David had a full 360-degree turn towards being back the old David that I used to remember back in the teenage days before Satan drugs got a hold of him and literally almost ruined his life. So sad what's went on here and what the judicial system has allowed to go on here. And these are supposed to be the professionals. These are supposed to be the experts that has put this country in peril. Going all the way back to the Reagans and the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas. Well, it don't look like Mr. Ridgway's going to make another showing. My honker. Where's my honker? They're so stupid, or he's so stupid, he don't realize that all these people are watching him, realizing that all he's doing is showing his ignorance. That's all he's doing. And once more, if he would have been properly penalized by the Weakley County court system before I ever come back here in 2014, towards what went on, I guess, along about 2010. It was the same year my father died. I wouldn't have been having these problems. And that's the part there that Tommy Moore acts like that he don't understand, that he can't comprehend, because of his dereliction of duty towards not being sufficient and the punishment that should have been subjected to this family. He just opened that much more up towards that much more abuse and that much more agony coming from this same family. If there's ever been anybody throughout the world that needs prayer, this whole community needs prayer, especially Tommy Moore, the judicial system in this area, that all officials have let this get out of shape the way that it has.